Sufi Essence with Hammad Syed. Part 5. The Alchemy of Light. Secrets of the Divine Mirror. Assalamu alaikum. The seeker of the Sufi path eventually begins to encounter a reality that transcends both the seen and the unseen, a realm in which the soul itself becomes a mirror to the divine. In its unpolished state, this mirror is clouded with the rust of desire, heedlessness, arrogance, and distraction. But through the rigorous discipline of mujahada, through constant dhikr, the seeker who reflects the divine names begins to act as a calque for God as fistronaut, through political or social power, but through inner alignment with divine ethics. Mercy flows from him like the Prophet Muhammad, who was called a mercy to all the worlds. But the greatest miracle is their annihilation in the divine, says Fanā, the extinction of the ego self. What remains is not the person, but what God wills through the person. The Hadith Qudsi says, "Neither my heavens nor my earth can contain me, but the heart of my believing servant contains me." Even at this stage, heedlessness can creep in, and the mirror may begin to dim. Constant vigilance is required. The seeker must continue dhikr, protect his gaze, regulate his breath, and serve creation. His secret lies not in withdrawal from the world, but in being fully present in it, while belonging entirely to God. His trade is not with gold or goods, but with hearts and destinies. His wealth is not in property, but in intimacy with the divine. His language is not merely Arabic or Urdu or Persian, but the universal tongue of divine love. This is the mystery of divine proximity. The seeker who polishes his heart becomes not merely close to God, but becomes the locus of divine manifestation. In this person, the name becomes manifest. He becomes a walking dhikr, a silent Quran, a luminous path for others to walk. From Fanā, the seeker returns to the world and back, permanence in God. The Sufis say, "Die before you die," meaning, let the ego dissolve so the soul may rise. Each unveiling brings a deeper unknowing, a greater humility, a more complete surrender. The highest saints often say, "I do not know," because true knowledge annihilates the knower. The ego claims knowledge. The soul whispers awe. In this awe, dhikr continues not as repetition of tongue, but as breath of being. The seeker has now become remembrance itself. Justice, wisdom, compassion, beauty, and humility emerge not as virtues he adopts, but as realities he embodies. And through deep suba, the heart is polished until it becomes a vessel of illumination. His will has merged with divine will, not in a pantheistic sense, but in the sense that his inner orientation has been fully surrendered. He no longer desires anything for himself, only that which increases the manifestation of divine light in creation. Such people walk through the world as if they were not of it. They speak few words, but their presence transforms. Their gaze is healing. Their silence instructs. Their due is answered. The Prophet Muhammad said, "There is a polish for everything, and the polish for the heart is the remembrance of Allah." This hadith is not a metaphor, but is a metaphysical law. Junaid al-Baghdadi, Boyazid Bastami, Arbiya al-Adadiya, and others were not famous in their time for worldly accomplishment, but for inner transformation. Arbiya, for example, is remembered for praying, "O Allah, if I worship you for fear of hell, burn me in hell, and if I worship you in hope of paradise, deny me paradise. But if I worship you for your sake alone, do not withhold from me your eternal beauty." This level of purity is the summit of the Sufi path. In earlier stages of the journey, one wrestles with the nafs, purifies the heart, and cultivates presence through dhikr. These are not visions of the senses, but unveilings in the soul, where knowledge flows without learning, insight dawns without thinking, and love expands without boundary. The heart at this level becomes the seat of mushahada, witnessing of the divine attributes. It no longer merely believes, it sees, not with the physical eyes, but with the baskro, the inner eye of certainty. This seeing is not illusion. It is awliya truth through direct knowledge. But in this elevated phase, the seeker does not merely remember, he begins to reflect. He becomes a polished mirror through which divine light reveals itself, not just to him, but through him. This is the stage where light begets light, Inkrun al-Bachar, a phrase from the Dhikr, and that unlocks the inner architecture of divine consciousness. What is this mirror? In the Sufi tradition, the mirror is the kalb, the heart not as a physical organ, but as the metaphysical locus where the divine gaze descends. At this point, the seeker experiences the descent of divine tojilet. It is said in the Sufi path that the journey is not from one place to another, but from one state of being to another. At this station, known to some as Mak Maratib, seeker is pleased with all that the divine decrees. Stories of the Awliya at this level speak of miracles, walking on water, knowing hidden thoughts, or bending time. The life of these saints is marked not by grandeur, but by spiritual gravity. The heart at this stage becomes a throne. It's not metaphorically, but spiritually. The mirror must be maintained. The journey of the soul is not linear, it spirals inward, deepening in mystery and radiance.